The sheriff held up the mud-stained backpack while the boy behind the diner lowered his eyes, and the whole room went quiet. Inside were a cracked inhaler, a silver dog tag, and a notebook filled with names no child should have known. Why would a runaway carry proof against half the town? Why did two deputies want that bag locked away before anyone read it? And why did the tired man everyone dismissed as a drifter suddenly know the code to an old federal evidence seal? By sundown, one abandoned backpack would expose a lie buried for years, and the sheriff would have to choose between protecting his badge or saving a child nobody believed. Rain tapped the station windows at 7:18 p.m., steady as fingernails on a coffin lid. Sheriff Eli Marshall stood beneath the buzzing fluorescent strip with a child's backpack hanging from one hand. Mud had dried along the seams. Water slid from the left strap, gathered at the buckle, and fell onto the tile. Captain Douglas Renner watched the puddle spread. "Put it in lost property." Eli did not move. Behind the dispatch glass, Lorna Pike lowered the radio until storm outside sounded louder than the calls inside. Deputy Trace Miller stood near the locker. "That bag came from behind Bellwether Diner," Eli said. "So?" Renner's jaw worked on mint gum. Trash collects behind diners. "It has a name inside. Then call the parents. There may not be parents to call." Renner stepped closer. His aftershave cut through wet wool. "You found abandoned property. You did not find a case." Eli set the bag on the counter. The zipper teeth were packed with grit. When he pulled them open, the sound was small and stubborn. Inside lay a cracked inhaler, 2 granola wrappers, socks stiff with rainwater, and a spiral notebook in a plastic bread bag. Beneath them, something silver clicked. Trace looked up. "What's that?" Eli picked it up. A metal tag, scratched but not antique. On one side were 4 letters and 6 numbers. On the other was a tiny evidence mark. Renner saw it. For half a second, his gum stopped moving. Then he reached for the tag. "I'll take custody." Eli closed his fingers around it. Rain rattled the side door. Somewhere in the cells, a pipe knocked twice, then went quiet. "Sheriff," Renner said, "don't make this embarrassing." "It already is." Trace shifted. "Captain, maybe we should log it first." Renner turned his head. Trace's mouth closed. Eli laid the tag beside the notebook and slid both away from Renner's hand. The backpack sagged open. A child's blue toothbrush rolled out and stopped against the rim of the puddle. No one spoke. Renner smiled. "You always do this. You find a stray dog, a runaway kid, and suddenly you're the only decent man in Briar Hollow." Eli looked at the toothbrush. "Who said runaway kid?" The gum stopped again. Renner's face hardened. "Everyone knows there's a boy stealing food off Highway 18. I didn't mention a boy. You're tired, Eli. You lost too much and came back too soon." The words landed softly. Trace glanced toward Lorna. She turned her chair away from the glass, but did not leave. Eli reached into his pocket and felt the photograph. His daughter at 9, missing one front tooth, holding a paper kite. Renner tapped the counter twice. "Locker, now." Eli opened the evidence drawer, took out a clean bag, and wrote with a black marker. 7:22 p.m. Found behind Bellwether Diner. "You're suspended if you seal that," Renner said. Eli peeled the adhesive strip and pressed it shut. The sound was barely more than a whisper. "Then put that in writing," he said. Renner's radio crackled. A deputy's voice broke through static. "Captain, we've got eyes on the Keller boy near the old feed warehouse. No backpack on him. He's running scared." Lorna's fingers froze above the keys. Renner reached for his shoulder mic. "Hold him there. Don't let Marshall near him." At 6:45 a.m., rain had washed the color out of Briar Hollow. Eli Marshall drove north on Highway 18 with one hand on the wheel and the other around a paper cup gone soft at the rim. The heater breathed warm air against his boots. Lorna's voice came over the radio. "Bellwether Diner called again. Juvenile at rear entrance." "Doing what?" "Requesting food. Maybe under the awning." "Did anyone ask his name?" A pause. "Complaint doesn't say." Eli turned into the diner lot. Gravel popped under the tires. The smell of fryer oil and wet cardboard came through the cracked window. Inside, June Harper wiped the same clean spot on the counter, a pencil through her dark bun, flour on one sleeve. "He's out back," she said. "Morning to you too." "Morning, Sheriff." At the far booth, Mabel Crow lowered her newspaper. "That boy needs a home, not a cell." From the pie case, Captain Renner answered first. "No one said cell, Mrs. Crow." He stood in a dry patrol jacket, mint gum working in his cheek. Deputy Trace Miller hovered behind him. Eli looked at them. "You beat me here." "Patrol call," Renner said. June put the rag down. "He took 2 rolls yesterday. I was going to toss them." "Then why call?" Her fingers tightened. "Mr. Voss said he'd call the county if I didn't." Renner sighed. "We're not running a shelter behind your counter." Eli moved toward the rear hall. "No, we're answering a call." The back door opened onto a narrow lane. Rain fell from the awning in silver strings. Beside the grease bin, a thin boy stood with a backpack hanging from both shoulders, too large for him and dark with water. Sandy hair stuck to his forehead. He held half a biscuit in both hands. Eli stayed on the top step. "I'm Eli." The boy's eyes moved to the badge, then to the alley mouth. "You can keep eating." The biscuit lowered. June stood behind Eli. Renner stayed inside, his reflection floating in the glass. "What's your name?" Eli asked. The boy swallowed. "Noah." "Noah what?" A delivery truck hissed by beyond the alley. The boy flinched so hard the biscuit broke. One piece dropped into a puddle. Eli did not step down. "Nobody's grabbing you?" From inside, Renner called, "Ask him about the stolen food." Noah's face closed. He backed until his shoulder touched wet brick. Eli turned his head. "Captain, not from the doorway." Renner's reflection shifted but remained. Noah looked at Eli. Rainwater ran from his hair to his chin. "They said not to talk to cops," he whispered. "Who said that?" His gaze jumped to the alley mouth. A white van passed without slowing, rear plate smeared with mud. Noah clenched both straps. "People from the van," he said. Eli stepped down one stair. The boy bolted. "Noah!" June shouted. He ran past the grease bin, slipped, caught himself on the brick, and vanished behind the hardware store. The backpack bounced against his spine. Trace burst through the door too late. "Want me to cut him off?" Eli watched the rain swallow the alley. The broken biscuit softened in brown water. "No," Renner came out. "That's your soft approach?" Eli crouched and picked up the bit of biscuit wrapper Noah had dropped. On it, written in pencil and blurred by rain, were 3 words. Not Laurel House. By 9:12 a.m., the biscuit wrapper lay under a paperweight on Eli's desk, its damp corner curling toward the heat vent. Not Laurel House. Lorna stood on the other side of the counter with her headset around her neck. "There hasn't been a Laurel House call in years." "Not one you filed?" Eli asked. "Not one that stayed filed." Trace came in, carrying 2 coffees. He set one near Eli, then noticed the wrapper. "That from the kid?" Eli nodded. "Captain says we should put out a petty theft notice. Juvenile, unknown last name, suspected food theft." "Don't." "He already drafted it." Then undraft it. The front door opened before Trace could answer. June Harper stepped in, hair escaping her bun, apron hidden under a wool coat. She held a paper plate covered with foil. "I brought the pie," she said, then looked at Lorna. "That sounds foolish now that I'm saying it." "It doesn't," Eli said. June placed the plate on the counter. Warm apples and cinnamon cut through the station's smell of copier toner and wet mats. "He came back last night," she said. "After closing. I left the back light on." Trace straightened. "You fed him again?" June's mouth tightened. "I threw away less food than usual." Eli turned the plate so the fork faced her. "Did he say anything?" "He asked if the old road still went past the feed warehouse. Then he asked if men in white vans could work for the county." Lorna stopped winding her headset cord. Trace gave a short laugh that failed halfway. "Kids see a van, they make a story." June looked at him. "He knew which door at my diner sticks. He knew when the flour truck comes. That isn't a story." The station door opened hard enough to shake the blinds. Renner entered with a folder under one arm and rain shining on his cap. "Why is she here?" June turned. "Because the boy was hungry." "Mrs. Harper, you're encouraging a minor to avoid placement." "Placement where?" Renner placed the folder on Eli's desk. "County says Laurel House closed in 2019. Whatever game this kid is playing, it isn't ours." Eli opened the folder. A thin printout, too clean, with one paragraph and no signatures. "Fast response," he said. "Efficient response." June's phone buzzed. She checked it, went pale, and held it toward Eli. On the screen was a photo from her diner's rear security camera. Noah at 1:03 a.m., standing under the awning, staring not at the food she had left, but at the dark alley behind him. A white van's reflection filled the wet window glass. Renner reached for the phone. "That's evidence." June pulled it back. Her hand trembled so badly the image flickered. Eli said, "Send it to Lorna." Renner's eyes cut to him. "You don't give orders on my patrol matter." "It's a missing juvenile concern." "He's not missing. He's avoiding custody." "Whose custody?" For a moment, the rain pressed its palms against every window. The dispatch radio cracked. "Unit 3 to base. Possible juvenile sighting behind Bellwether. No visual now. Backpack left near dumpster." June whispered, "He came back." Eli took his hat from the rack. Renner blocked the aisle. "I'll handle it." Eli waited until Trace looked down at the untouched plate of pie. "No," Eli said. "You'll follow me." At 9:47 a.m., the backpack sat on the evidence counter, dark and folded in on itself like something that had learned not to move. Eli set his wet hat beside the intake forms. The station smelled of rain, old coffee, and plastic. June stood by the door. Trace kept glancing at Renner. Renner gave the word. "Lost property." Eli unzipped the top pocket. Grit rasped. "Found property tied to a juvenile welfare call." Alleged juvenile. "You saw him on camera." "I saw a shape." Lorna came from dispatch with gloves and set them beside Eli. Renner's cheek tightened. "Careful, Lorna. You're not a detective." "No," she said. "I answer phones nobody wants logged." Eli put on the gloves. From the bag, he removed a cracked inhaler, socks, a pencil shaved to the metal band, and a spiral notebook inside a bread bag. June whispered. "He carried that every time." "Open it," Renner said. "For what purpose?" "Identification." Eli cut the bread bag with scissors. Most pages were dry, except one corner where rain had bloomed blue ink into clouds. The first page held uneven block letters. Noah Keller. "If found, give to sheriff, not Laurel House." Trace exhaled. Keller. We have a last name. Renner took out his phone. I'll call county services. Not yet, Eli said. But Renner was already in the hall. Eli turned the page. Dates ran down the margin. Beside them were plates, initials, times, and places. Mill Road, Old Feed, Clinic Lot. One name appeared 3 times before the ink blurred. M. Vale. Lorna's breath caught. Marissa Vale? County Child Services, Trace said. Renner returned. Marissa is coming. That was fast, Eli said. She knows her caseload. Noah is on her caseload? Renner's eyes cooled. Don't twist words. 10 minutes later, Marissa Vale entered in a beige raincoat, belted tight, black hair pinned smooth. She carried a leather folder and did not wipe her boots on the mat. Sheriff Marshall, she said. Captain Renner tells me you recovered county-sensitive material. Eli closed the notebook halfway. We recovered a child's backpack. Her eyes flicked to it. Noah Keller has a history of fabrication. June made a small sound. Marissa placed one paper on the counter. Emergency transfer authorization. Once located, he returns to county custody. Signed by whom? Administrator Wynne. Lorna stepped closer. Caleb doesn't sign before 10 unless someone wakes him. Marissa's smile stayed flat. We all wake early when children are at risk. Eli slid the paper back. Then you'll want this logged carefully. Renner's palm hit the counter. The metal tag inside the backpack jumped with a bright, thin click. Everyone looked down. Eli lifted it by its chain. 4 letters, 6 numbers. A tiny stamped mark near the edge. Marissa went still. What is that? Trace asked. I don't know yet, Eli said. Renner's voice dropped. Then stop pretending you do. Eli set the tag beside the open page. The blurred ink had spared one line. Mom said the man who listens will know the silver piece. Marissa's phone vibrated in her folder. She read the screen and forgot to arrange her face. Where is Noah now? Eli asked. Marissa said nothing. Renner answered for her. That is no longer your question. By 10:31 a.m., the rain had thinned to a cold mist over Bellwether Diner. Eli stepped out, carrying Noah's backpack in a sealed evidence sleeve. The plastic crackled against his wet coat. June locked the diner's back door, missed the keyhole once, and tried again. Renner came around his cruiser. You brought it here? This is where it was found. This is a diner, not a crime lab. It is also where a child asked for food and disappeared. At the window, faces gathered. Mabel Crow sat in her booth, one hand on her coffee cup. The cook stood behind her with a towel over his shoulder. No one opened the door. Renner's voice rose. Sheriff Marshall is turning a runaway's backpack into a county investigation because he doesn't like being told no. June pulled out her phone. Her thumb hovered over the red button. Trace saw it. Mrs. Harper. Don't, she said. Renner pointed at the sleeve. Hand it over. Eli looked past him to the alley. Grease bins, wet brick, the smell of fryer oil. No. The word was not loud. That made it worse. Renner stepped close enough that drops from his cap brim fell onto Eli's coat. You're making this personal. Eli did not answer. You did the same thing after your wife died, Renner said. Every call became a rescue. Every kid became somebody you failed to save. The diner went still behind the glass. June's phone shook. On the screen, Renner filled the frame, Eli standing with the bag against his coat. A truck rolled by. Trace swallowed. Captain. Renner lifted one hand. No, they should hear it. The sheriff thinks grief is a warrant. Eli's hand slid into his coat pocket. His fingers found the photograph behind his notebook. Lily at 9, laughing with a paper kite. He kept his hand there until it stopped wanting to shake. Mabel pushed open the diner door. The bell gave a thin ring. "Douglas," she said, "that's enough." Renner glanced at her. "Go inside, Mrs. Crow." She did not. Her cardigan darkened. "I said enough." June lowered the phone. Eli took one step toward his cruiser. "I'm filing the bag under juvenile welfare and possible witness intimidation." Renner blocked him. "You file what I approve." "You don't approve evidence." "I approve my deputies wasting time." "I'm not your deputy." The line hung between them. Renner smiled for the windows. "No, you're the elected man who plays saint for lonely women and stray boys and expects us all to clap." June flinched. Mabel looked down at the puddle. Eli turned the sleeve so the label faced Trace. "Deputy Miller, note the time. Renner attempted to remove logged material from my custody at 10:34 a.m. Trace's ears reddened. His pen stayed in his pocket. "Trace," Eli said, softer. The young deputy stared at the backpack. Water dripped from the sleeve onto the white stripe. "I didn't see enough," Trace murmured. June's phone caught that too. Eli nodded once, walked around Renner, and laid the backpack on the passenger seat. Renner leaned toward him. "This ends at the station." Eli shut the door gently. From the alley came a tiny sound, metal striking pavement. Eli turned. Near the grease bin, half hidden under rainwater, lay Noah's pencil, shaved down to the metal band, still rolling in a slow circle. The pencil stopped against Eli's boot at 10:36 a.m. He picked it up with a tissue. The wood was swollen, the graphite point snapped flat, and a dark thread clung to the metal band. June came down the diner steps. "That's his!" Eli held it without closing his fist. "Back inside." "I can help." "You already did." Renner called from the lot. "We're done here, Sheriff." Eli looked toward the alley. Rain slid off the awning in beads. Beyond the hardware store, something pale moved behind the feed warehouse, a rectangle of white fading between pallets. Trace saw it too. His hand went to his radio, then stopped. Eli said, "Unit 3, mark my location. I'm checking warehouse." Renner crossed the lot fast. "No, you're not. A child may be there. A child may be anywhere." The smell changed as Eli entered the alley. Fryer oil giving way to rust and river mud. His boots sank into grit. The warehouse door hung open 3 inches, moving in the wind with a tired scrape. Trace followed 2 steps, then halted when Renner barked, "Miller!" The young deputy's shoulders tightened. "Captain, I saw the van." "You saw a delivery truck." "No, sir." Eli did not turn. "Trace, stay where you can see the door." Inside the warehouse, dim light fell through broken roof panels. Old feed sacks lay split on the floor. The air was cold enough to sting his teeth. "Noah?" Eli called. A board ticked somewhere overhead. Near the west wall sat a white van, dusty except for fresh arcs on the windshield where wipers had run. No rear plate. Mud covered the bumper in a careful smear. Renner entered behind him. "Step away from it." Eli crouched without touching the van. The side door had been wiped clean around the handle. Below it, caught in the rubber step, was a strip of blue cloth with yellow stitching. "Laurel House used blue jackets?" Eli asked. Renner's face lost color. "You don't know what that is." "Then tell me." "It's fabric." Trace appeared at the door. His radio crackled against his chest. "Sheriff, there's a crawl space behind the office." "Did you look?" "I heard breathing." Renner snapped, "Nobody moves until county arrives." From the dark behind the office, a small voice said, "Don't let her take me." The 3 men froze. Eli lowered his hand, palm open. "Noah, it's Eli." A shelf creaked. Dust sifted down. Is the backpack safe? Yes. Renner stepped forward. Noah Keller, come out now. The breathing vanished. Eli turned his head slightly. Captain? What? Stop helping. Trace looked away. Eli walked toward the office, slow enough for every wetboard to announce him. I found your pencil. No answer. It's short. Looks like you don't waste things. A rustle. Then Noah's face appeared in a gap beneath a desk, gray with cold, eyes too large. White van, the boy whispered. Same one. Did someone bring you here? He pressed his lips until they went white. Outside, tires hissed on the lane. Heels clicked through puddles. Marissa Vale's voice carried into the warehouse. Sheriff Marshall, this child belongs in protective custody. Noah disappeared back into the dark so fast his shoulder hit wood. Eli looked at the blue cloth in the van step, then at Renner, who had moved to block the door. At 11:08 a.m., the evidence locker door closed with a sound too clean for the room. Eli watched through the station glass as the backpack went inside. Trace had carried it from the warehouse, but Renner held the key. The sleeve was fogged from cold. Marissa Vale stood by the counter, Noah's transfer form pressed against her folder. This delay has already endangered him. Noah sat near dispatch, sleeves pulled over his hands. Lorna had given him cocoa. He had not touched it. He stays until I speak with a juvenile advocate, Eli said. Renner laughed once. You don't get to decide. I'm the sheriff. Not for the next 5 minutes. Caleb Wynne entered in a camel coat that smelled of rain, reading glasses folded in one hand. Eli, Caleb said, we need to step into my office. You don't have an office here. I do when county liability walks through the door. Lorna lifted a file. Caleb, look at the page I copied from the notebook. Renner turned. What copy? Lorna slid one sheet beneath a stack of intake forms. Eli saw it. So did Trace. Marissa did not. Caleb cleared his throat. Captain Renner has filed a complaint. Evidence removed from scene. Unauthorized contact with a minor. Interference with county services. Who wrote it? Eli asked. I did, Renner said. With county language? Marissa's mouth tightened. Caleb set a paper on the counter. Temporary suspension pending review. Badge. Keys. Access card. Trace whispered. Sir, the warehouse. Deputy Miller, Renner said. Unless you want the same review, stand down. Trace's hand moved toward his pocket. Eli unpinned his badge. The metal caught on a thread before it came free. He placed it on the counter. It struck the edge with a cold tap. Noah flinched. Eli took out his keys. One by one, they slid from the ring into Caleb's palm. Evidence room. Outer door. Desk drawer. Interview 2 clicked last. Marissa stepped toward Noah. Come with me. No, Noah said. It isn't optional. Eli kept his eyes on Caleb. You hear that? Caleb would not look at the bench. He is under county protection. He is a witness. Renner touched the locker key on his belt. And the bag is secured, finally. Secured from whom? Lorna asked. Renner ignored her. Marshall, sit in interview 2. Eli unclipped the empty holster. Sidearms locked in my cruiser. Policy, when children are in holding areas. Caleb blinked. You're to remain available as a witness. A detained witness? A cooperative one. Renner stepped around the counter and took Eli by the elbow. Not hard. Enough for everyone to see. The lobby had gone quiet. Mabel stood inside the door, water dripping from her umbrella. June waited behind her, phone half hidden. No one spoke. As Renner guided him toward the hall, Noah pushed the cocoa cup toward Eli with both covered hands. You didn't drink it, Eli said. Noah shook his head. You looked cold. Renner's grip tightened. Eli took the cup. The cardboard was warm against his palm. At the counter, Lorna wrote 11:14 a.m. in the margin of the copied notebook page before sliding it under her keyboard. Behind Eli, the evidence locker hummed, and the backpack sat out of reach with its wet strap pressed flat against the glass. The interview room smelled of varnish and cooling cocoa. Eli sat at the metal table with the paper cup between his hands. The clock above the door read 12:03 p.m., though the second hand stuttered before every click. Cold pressed up through the floor. Through the wall came Renner's voice, muffled and flat. "Tell us where you got the tag." Noah did not answer. A chair scraped. Marissa said, softer, "Noah, people are trying to help you, but help requires honesty." Eli lowered the cup. The cocoa had skinned over. "You can't question him without advocate," he called. The corner speaker blinked red. The door opened. Trace stood there with his cap in both hands, rain shining on the bill. "Captain says you're not to interfere." "Then close the door before he hears you." Trace stepped in instead. "I didn't know they'd put him in interview one." "You heard him at the warehouse." "I know." "And?" Trace looked at the table edge. "And I wrote delivery truck on my note." Eli said nothing. "Captain told me to keep it simple." "That's one word for it." Trace worried the cap seam until a thread came loose. "I have a brother his age." "Then don't make Noah borrow him." From the next room came a small, stopped breath. Renner's voice sharpened. "Who gave you the notebook?" Noah whispered something too low to catch. Marissa answered, "Your mother is not here to protect you from consequences." The cocoa cup dented under Eli's hand. Trace whispered, "I can't unlock you." "I didn't ask. What do you want me to do?" "Remember the words you hear." Trace slipped out when footsteps approached. Renner entered, smiling without warmth. "Comfortable?" "No." "Good. Maybe that means you'll stop performing." Eli leaned back. "Where is Noah's advocate?" "In transit." "From where?" Renner placed both palms on the table. "You're done asking questions." Behind him, the vent carried another sound. A faint tapping. 3 quick touches against metal. Tap, tap, tap. Renner followed his gaze. "What?" "Pipe's loose." Renner stared, then left, locking the door louder than necessary. Eli waited. The clock clicked 4 times. Then he lifted his hand and tapped once on the table leg. The answer came back from the vent. 1. Eli tapped twice. 2 came back. He bent close to the wall. "Noah, can you hear me?" A pause. Then a scrape. "Yes." "Are you hurt?" "No." "Can you breathe all right?" "My inhaler's in the bag." Eli closed his eyes. The cracked inhaler, sealed behind glass. "I'm going to get it to you." They said I lied. They said many things. Noah's voice thinned. "If I go with her, the notebook disappears. Then don't give them anything else alone." The vent vibrated with a hallway door slamming. Noah whispered, "My mom said the man who listens would know. But you didn't know." Eli put his palm against the painted cinder block. It was cold and damp. "I'm learning." Silence settled between them, full of the clock's broken rhythm and rain ticking in the gutter outside. Then Noah said, "There's another page." "Where?" "I didn't keep it in the notebook." Keys sounded in the hall. Eli straightened. "Where, Noah?" The answer came fast, almost swallowed by the lock turning. "In the pie case." The key turned before Noah could say anything more. Renner opened the door and found Eli sitting upright, the cocoa cup untouched. "You look busy," Renner said. "Waiting is work. County transport is 5 minutes out. Then Caleb gets your statement." Eli rose. "Noah needs his inhaler." "He's fine." "You checked?" Marissa did. She isn't a doctor. Renner stepped close. Rain clung to his collar. You're suspended, Eli. Your concern is decorative. From dispatch came Lorna's voice, bright and false. Captain, line 2. County Administrator. Tell him I'll call back. He says now. Renner stared at Eli, then left the door open. Lorna did not look up when Eli passed the glass. She turned the recorder until its red light faced the wall. Her finger touched the notebook page. Eli understood. The diner. June Harper answered on the first ring. Bellwether. June, the pie case. A pause. What about it? Noah left something there. I wiped the counter. I didn't move the apple. Don't touch it. Call Clara Benton at Gazette. Tell her to order coffee. What is happening? Across the lobby, Marissa carried a paper cup toward interview 1 with a smile meant for forms, not children. A boy trusted your counter, Eli said. Keep it worthy. He hung up. Trace appeared at the hall corner. County cars outside. Through the windows, a gray sedan idled under the awning. A woman in a dark field jacket stepped into the rain, federal credential clipped inside her coat. She entered without wiping her boots. Anna Reeves, Office of Inspector Review. Where is Elijah Marshall? Renner came back from dispatch. This is local. Anna turned. 44. Compact. Tired eyes. Small scar at one eyebrow. Then local records should make it simple. Eli stepped into the lobby. Anna. She studied the empty place on his shirt where the badge had been. You always find the warmest rooms. Not today. Her gaze went through the glass to Noah. Is that the Keller child? Marissa moved between them. He is under county protection. No child connected to a federal identifier leaves until custody is reviewed. Renner laughed once. Federal identifier? Silver tag, Eli said. Evidence locker. Anna looked at Renner. Open it. No one moved. Mabel Crow raised June's phone. The parking lot video played, tinny and cruel. The sheriff thinks grief is a warrant. Trace looked at his boots. Lorna picked up line 1. Gazette confirms receipt. Renner turned. Receipt of what? June's voice crackled from the speakerphone Eli had not noticed was live. I found it, she said. Behind the apple pie, folded in a straw wrapper. Anna's eyes sharpened. Read nothing aloud. Photograph both sides. June swallowed. There's a list of payments, dates, vehicle numbers, initials. Renner reached for the phone. Trace stepped into his path. Move, Renner said. The young deputy fought with his notebook snap. It opened at last. No, sir. His voice broke on the second word. I need to amend my report. Rain ticked against the windows. In interview 1, Noah pressed both hands to the glass. June whispered through the line. The last initials are DR. Anna kept her eyes on Renner. Captain, take your hand off that phone. Anna Reeves did not raise her voice. Captain, take your hand off that phone. Renner's fingers hovered above the receiver. The speaker hissed with diner noise, plates clinking, rain against glass, June breathing as if the room could hear her heart. Trace stood between Renner and the desk. Deputy Miller, you're obstructing a command. No, sir. Trace swallowed. I'm correcting a report. Eli watched his thumb smear damp ink over the word delivery. Anna moved to the evidence locker. Key. Renner did not move. Lorna slid the copied page from beneath her keyboard. If that locker opens, it opens on record. The recorder's red light glowed beside her elbow. Marissa Vale gave a small laugh. A hungry child writes initials, and now this is federal. From interview 1, Noah coughed. Thin. Dry. Eli turned. His inhaler. Anna looked at Renner. Open it. Caleb shifted near the door. Perhaps we should wait for counsel. Perhaps children should breathe while adults find counsel. Renner unclipped the key. Metal scraped metal. When the locker opened, cold air and wet canvas smell slipped out. Eli took the inhaler, showed Anna, then passed it to Lorna. Only after Noah's first shaky breath did Anna lift the silver tag. She turned it under the fluorescent light. 4 letters, 6 numbers, a tiny federal seal. ORCI-229184, she read. Eli said nothing, but his shoulders changed. Anna noticed. You know it? I closed a case adjacent to it 14 years ago. Renner exhaled. Convenient. Eli looked at the tag. Buried. Anna opened her tablet. Operation Orchard Line. Child welfare grant fraud. Ghost placements. Falsified transport logs. The Oregon file went inactive after 2 witnesses disappeared. Marissa's face lost color. That has nothing to do with Laurel House. No one said Laurel House, Anna replied. Eli asked, Who were the witnesses? Anna's finger stopped. Sarah Keller, program bookkeeper, 1 minor informant unnamed. In interview 1, Noah held the inhaler with both hands. Lorna stood beside him. Eli crossed to the glass. Noah. The boy raised his eyes. Your mother gave you the tag? Noah's mouth trembled, but he nodded. Marissa stepped forward. He has been coached. Anna turned slowly. By whom? He runs. He lies. He hid a federal evidence identifier in a backpack for years. June's voice came from the speaker. There's a name on the folded page. Sarah wrote it at the bottom. Eli's hand rested against the glass. Read the first name only. June's breath shook. Elijah. Noah looked at him. Rainwater slid down the outside window. My mom said if I found Elijah, I should not say your last name in front of them, Noah whispered. Renner muttered, This is theater. Anna picked up the tag. No. Preserved evidence. Eli turned from the glass. Where is the page now? With Clara. She photographed it. She's walking here. Do not let her walk alone. Trace moved. I'll go. Renner stepped into his path. You'll stay exactly where you are. Trace's pen shook once. No. Anna clipped the silver tag into a new federal sleeve. Through the speaker, June whispered, Sheriff, there's one more line under the payments. Eli waited. It says, White van resumes Monday. At 1:06 p.m., the county hearing room filled faster than rain could dry from the floor. Clara Benton arrived between Trace and June, coat buttoned wrong, a folded straw wrapper sealed in a clear bag. She was 37, narrow-shouldered, copper hair cut at her chin. Anna Reeves took the wrapper. Chain of custody starts now. Renner stood with Caleb Wynn and Marissa Vale. His uniform looked pressed enough to cut paper. Caleb cleared his throat. This is an administrative review, not a courtroom. Retired Judge Raymond Hart sat in back, cane across his knees, white beard damp. Then stop arranging it like one. Eli sat without his badge. Noah was behind him with Lorna, holding the inhaler in both hands. Each breath made the plastic click. Caleb opened a folder. Sheriff Marshall is suspended for mishandling juvenile material. Anna laid the silver tag on the table. Its sleeve caught light. Correction. He preserved material tied to a federal inquiry. Marissa folded her arms. A dormant inquiry. A dormant file can wake up. Renner leaned toward the microphone. We have a troubled runaway, an emotional sheriff, and a diner owner who interfered with county process. June's face went pale. Eli turned an empty coffee cup so the handle faced her. Clara switched on her recorder. Bellwether's camera captured Renner trying to remove evidence before intake. That video lacks context, Renner said. Mabel Crow stood in the second row. I was the context. You told him grief made him unfit, loud enough for the pie case to hear. Renner's jaw tightened. This is not public comment. Judge Hart tapped his cane. It is now. Anna opened her tablet. Dispatch calls involving Laurel House or Noah Keller in the past 18 months. Lorna slid a packet forward. Some entries were reclassified as nuisance calls. By whom? Lorna looked at Renner, then Marissa. The initials changed after filing. The room lost sound in pieces. Paper, chairs, breathing. Trace stood. His notebook was open. The wet word delivery crossed out. I wrote van, he said. Then I changed it. Renner stared at him. Sit down. No, sir. At the warehouse, I saw a white van with no rear plate. I heard the boy say not to let her take him. My first report said that. Anna held out her hand. Trace gave her the notebook. Marissa pushed back from the table. You cannot base procedure on a frightened child and a deputy's second thoughts. Noah whispered, I'm not procedure. The microphone caught him. Eli did not turn around. He let the words stand where Noah had placed them. Anna removed the folded page. Payments, vehicle numbers, initials DR, and a note. White van resumes Monday. Ms. Vale, does your office authorize private transports? Marissa pressed her fingers flat against the folder. Occasionally, with approved providers. Names. I need time. You had years. Renner's chair scraped back. This meeting is over. Judge Hart rose slowly. Captain, I have watched men mistake a badge for a door they can close. Sit down. Outside, tires hissed in the flooded street. Inside, Noah's inhaler clicked once. Anna looked from the tag to the folded page. Seal the exits, she said. No one leaves until every recording is copied. Noah's chair legs scraped when Anna asked him to stand. He rose with the backpack strap in his fist, though the bag lay sealed on the table. Lorna had cut the torn strap loose, and Noah had wrapped it around his hand until his knuckles went pale. You do not have to speak, Anna said. Noah looked at Eli's empty shirt front, then at Marissa Vale. If I don't, she writes it down different. The microphone hummed. Marissa's mouth opened, but no sound came. The room smelled of wet wool, burnt coffee, and floor polish. Rain ticked from an umbrella into a tray by the door. My mom worked nights at Laurel House, Noah said. Payroll. She said numbers can tell on people if you don't scare them quiet. Clara stopped writing. She kept copies in cereal boxes. She told me not to touch them unless she didn't come back by Sunday. What Sunday? Anna asked. The Sunday after the bridge fair. I was 10. Eli's eyes moved to Anna. 3 years. Renner shifted. This is rehearsed. Noah flinched. Judge Hart's cane struck the floor once. Captain? Noah spoke faster. A white van came after dinner. Mom saw it from the window. She put the silver thing in my backpack and said, Find Elijah. He listens before he asks. I thought Elijah was a pastor. He looked at Eli as if apologizing. Anna said, What happened next morning? Marissa leaned forward. He cannot answer that reliably. Noah stared at her. You came. You said my mom left me. You said some mothers do that when boys are difficult. His fingers tightened until the strap cut his skin. Then you took my cereal boxes. Anna wrote one line. Did Ms. Vale remove documents from your home? Yes. For safekeeping, Marissa said. The child was alone. You told me if I kept asking, I'd go somewhere stricter. Noah's voice dropped. So I stopped asking out loud. June covered her mouth. Noah nodded toward the folded page. Mom made another list. I hid it under the pie case because she used to meet a woman there. She said diners were good because nobody notices paper. Clara looked up. I met Sarah twice. I didn't know her name. Renner's chair creaked. Anna turned to Marissa. Why were Noah Keller's checks reclassified? Our office was overwhelmed. With the same initials on transport logs? I trusted reports from law enforcement. Renner snapped. Don't put this on me. Noah stepped back. The strap slipped from his fingers and landed on the floor. Eli stood. He picked it up and laid it on the table, closer to Noah than to himself. You don't have to hold the whole thing, he said. Noah looked at the strap. He did not pick it up. Anna opened the list. Douglas Renner, did you receive compensation from providers connected to Laurel House Transports? No. Did you direct officers to ignore welfare calls involving Noah Keller? No. Did you try to take the backpack before it was logged? Renner's eyes flicked to June's phone, Lorna's recorder, Trace's note. No. The lie sat there, too polished. Mabel Crow stood in the back row. She only turned her chair until its legs squealed and faced him directly. One by one, people followed. Trace, June, Lorna, Clara. Anna slid 3 copied records beside the silver tag. Then we begin with the recordings. Anna played the first recording at 1:42 p.m. Renner's voice came from Lorna's small device, stripped of uniform and walls. Locker, now. Then Eli's answer. Then put that in writing. Noah sat still. His inhaler rested beside the torn strap. Every few seconds, his thumb brushed the label as if checking that both were real. Caleb Wynne removed his glasses. Captain, is that your voice? Renner stared at the speaker. It's edited. Lorna leaned forward. It ran from 11:09 to 12:28. I can show the file properties. Anna said, We will take the device. The second recording came from June's phone. Rain hissed. Renner's voice rose outside. The sheriff thinks grief is a warrant. Eli looked down at the table. Hearing the words again made the room smaller. Trace's face folded. I heard that. You all heard it, June said. Anna set the phone down. Captain Renner, effective immediately. You are relieved of command pending review. Deputy Miller, secure his access card. Renner laughed, but no one moved with him. Trace stepped around the table. His fingers shook so badly the clip caught twice before the card came free. Renner whispered, You'll regret this. Trace swallowed. Maybe, but I'll write it down. Marissa Vale closed her folder. I would like counsel. You should have had counsel before taking cereal boxes from a child's kitchen, Anna said. For the first time, Marissa looked at Noah and not at his file. I thought if the office collapsed, every child in it would lose services. Noah did not answer. Anna slid another document into the center. Elijah Marshall's personnel summary. Caleb frowned. Why is that relevant? Because your suspension says he lacked the training to recognize federal material. Anna tapped the page. Former senior investigator, Office of Public Integrity. Liaison on child welfare grant cases. The room turned toward Eli. June whispered. You never said. Eli folded his hands. It wasn't a diner story. Noah studied him. My mom knew? She may have known my first name from the case, Eli said. I didn't know she had you. Anna placed Eli's badge on the table. The medal still showed Caleb's thumb smear. Sheriff Marshall, your suspension is frozen. You are restored for emergency continuity, pending review. Caleb started to object, then stopped when Judge Hart looked at him. Eli did not pin it on. He set the badge beside Noah's notebook and backpack. None of them moved. Noah looked at the badge. Aren't you supposed to wear it? Not before I remember what it failed to protect. Outside, the rain eased. The old building seemed to breathe through its vents. Renner stood with Trace behind him now. No cuffs, no shouting, just an access card missing from his belt. Anna gathered the logs. Preservation order on Laurel House transports, county records, and communications bearing DR or MV. Marissa pressed her lips together. I will cooperate. Mabel's chair scraped. Start with an apology to the boy. Marissa looked at Noah. Her mouth formed one word, then failed. Noah picked up the torn strap and placed it beside the badge. Not today, he said. Eli touched the notebook. Then we start with the work. Anna opened a fresh folder labeled Emergency Reforms. By 3:15 p.m., someone had pinned county letterhead to the station wall with a blue thumbtack. It hung crooked beside the evidence locker. Eli stood before it with a marker. His badge was back on his shirt, fastened lower, as if the metal had learned weight. Anna copied files at Lorna's desk. Trace stood by the door with Renner's access card sealed in plastic. June had brought Noah a grilled cheese wrapped in foil. He held it before biting, letting warmth soak through his fingers. Caleb Wynne cleared his throat. Emergency reforms should wait for the full review. No, Eli said. Sheriff, procedure. Procedure let a child hide evidence behind a pie case. Only the copier answered. Marissa Vale sat on the lobby bench, raincoat belted tight, legal pad on her knees. Her pen hovered, but did not write. Anna looked up. Temporary safeguards can start today. Eli wrote the first line. Independent evidence intake when a child is involved. Trace read it softly. 2 signatures? 3, Lorna said. Patrol, dispatch, witness. Mabel Crow raised one sleeve. Old women count, especially when they don't leave. June moved closer to Noah. What about county pickups? Noah stopped chewing. No private transport without visible registration, destination, and an advocate present, Eli said, writing slowly. Caleb rubbed his forehead. You cannot rewrite social services on a police wall. Then call it a wall until your office catches up. Marissa's pen began scratching. There were 6 complaints. Everyone turned. 6 that should have triggered review. I reclassified 4. Renner requested 2 be marked unfounded. Anna said, names. Marissa wrote them, tore off the page, and slid it across the bench. I told myself one messy file could shut down meals, beds, counseling, she said. Noah looked at the floor. Eli's voice stayed even. Did that help him eat? Marissa's hand opened. The page lay free. By 4 o'clock, the sheet had become 3 pages. Lorna typed while Trace called deputies for training at dawn. No one joked. No one asked whether Renner would return. Clara Benton sat in the corner. Can I quote the wall? You can quote the policy when it's signed. Then sign it. Caleb looked at Anna. Interim authority? Anna slid him a pen. Use it for something useful. Caleb signed first. The ink left a blot. Lorna signed next. Trace added his with a hard downstroke. June signed as witness. Mabel wrote hers beneath. Noah approached last. I can't sign, he said. You don't have to. Noah pointed to the bottom. Can I write something else? Eli handed him the marker. The boy stood on his toes and printed 3 words. Listen first. Ask second. The marker squeaked on the final D. Nobody clapped. That would have made it too easy. Lorna took a blue thumbtack and pinned the policy beside the locker. The damp corner curled. Eli pressed it flat. Behind the glass, the backpack remained sealed. Its strap had dried into a twisted line. Anna's phone buzzed. The white van was found near the county maintenance yard, she said. Empty. Wiped clean. Noah lowered his eyes to the foil. Eli turned back to the wall, where the new rule held by one small blue pin. Then we start before dawn, he said. In March, the backpack no longer smelled like rain. It sat on the top shelf of Eli's office, brushed clean but not repaired, the torn strap coiled beside it. Lorna had tied a tag to the handle in blue ink. Listen first. Noah saw it every Tuesday after school when June drove him to the station. He pretended not to look. Then he always looked. You can move it, he said. No. It's weird up there. It's doing work. Outside, a training class gathered in drizzle beside two evidence bins. Trace Miller, now acting sergeant, held up a sealed paper bag. 3 signatures, he called. Patrol, dispatch, witness if available. If a child is involved, you do not simplify the record. Lorna watched from the doorway. Took him long enough? Eli smiled. He learned it out loud. Noah opened his book. Did they find the van people? Some? Not all? Not all yet. The report comes out Friday, Eli said. It won't bring your mother back. It will make it harder to bury the next child's words. Noah stared at his book. She would have hated meetings. She picked paperwork as a weapon. That earned a small sound, almost a laugh. On Friday, the county released the public report. Douglas Renner had resigned before termination, then lost his law enforcement certification after the board reviewed recordings, logs, and witness pressure. He sent no statement. His chair sat empty. Marissa Vale accepted a barred period from Child Services leadership and agreed to testify in related provider cases. When she passed Noah in the hall, she stopped 6 feet away. I'm sorry, she said. Noah held June's hand. Write it where they can keep it. Her signed affidavit was added to the record. Caleb Wynn kept his job only after outside oversight was installed above it. Quarterly review now included a dispatcher, a school counselor, a retired judge, and a citizen chosen by lottery. Judge Hart asked why the complaint form still used unfounded before a child had been interviewed. The form changed before lunch. Spring came slowly to Briar Hollow. Bellwether Diner replaced its cracked pie case glass, but June kept the old metal corner beneath the register. Clara Benton's articles became a series called The Children We Filed Away. Noah started school again. Counselor Evelyn Morrow met him at the front steps, 50 years old, silver-threaded braids tucked into a green coat, yellow rain boots bright against wet concrete. She handed him a schedule with only 3 classes. Doors stay open, she said. You choose the chair. Noah chose the chair nearest the window. At 4:10 p.m., he came to the station alone, a new gray backpack on both shoulders. Eli looked up from a training memo. You walked? 2 blocks. That is usually how walking works. Noah rolled his eyes and placed a folded school essay on the desk. At the top, in careful handwriting, was the title, What My Mother Saved. Keep it somewhere safe until tomorrow? Noah asked. Eli opened the evidence drawer, then closed it. He took a clean folder and wrote Noah Keller across the tab. Not evidence? Noah asked. No. What is it? Eli slid the folder into the top drawer beside his daughter's old kite photograph. A voice, he said. Above them, the dried backpack rested under the blue tag, no longer asking to be found. It had been heard. If this story stayed with you, share in the comments whether you have ever seen someone ignored until one quiet piece of evidence finally made people listen. Stories like Noah's remind us that dignity is not protected by titles alone, but by ordinary people willing to slow down, ask better questions, and keep a record when silence would be easier. Share this with someone who believes justice should begin before a crisis becomes public. Subscribe for more stories about quiet strength, accountability, and the kind of changes that happen when one person refuses to look away. And remember the line on that blue tag, Listen first.